Welcome to English Box, Easy English with Julia and Tom. This channel is all about helping you build English into your daily life, a little bit at a time, without stress. I'm Julia, and I'm really happy you're spending this time with us today.
And I'm Tom. This is a calm space for busy people who want to practice real English without pressure, just like having a relaxed conversation with a friend.
First, we want to say a big thank you to all our amazing listeners. If you're listening right now, it means you're choosing to practice English, and we truly appreciate that.
Yes, learning a language isn't always easy. Some days it's fun, and other days your brain just says, I'm full.
And that's why podcasts like this are so helpful. You can listen to real, natural English without stress, even when you're busy or tired. In our podcast, we speak slowly and clearly, so you can practice English wherever you are, while cooking, washing dishes, commuting, walking outside, or getting ready for bed.
We talk about everyday topics that you already know in your own language. That way you can focus on English itself and feel more confident little by little.
Today's topic is something quiet, simple, and very powerful: reading habits.
Yes, reading is part of many people's daily lives. Some people read books, some read news on their phone, and some read messages more than anything else.
That's very true. Reading doesn't always mean big books or long hours. It can be just a few minutes a day, before bed, in the morning, or during a short break. In this episode, we'll talk about how often we read, what we like to read, and why reading can help us relax, learn, and even improve our English.
We'll also explain useful words and expressions you can use to talk about reading in daily conversations in simple, clear English.
And don't worry if you don't understand everything the first time. That's normal. Each time you listen and practice, your understanding grows, slowly but surely.
If you stay with us until the end, you'll feel more comfortable talking about your own reading habits in English.
Before we begin, if you enjoy learning English through calm, natural conversations like this, please like this episode and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep creating more practical content for you.
So find a comfortable place, maybe grab a book or a cup of tea.
And let's begin today's episode about reading habits together. Reading habits. So, Tom, very honest question. Do you like reading, or do you just like the idea of reading?
Wow, straight to the point. I do like reading, but only when it helps me relax. If a book feels too serious or too long, my motivation quietly leaves the room.
I understand that very well. I enjoy reading when I want to relax, not when I feel like I'm taking an exam. Reading should feel friendly, not stressful.
Exactly. And reading doesn't always mean big books. I usually read short articles, news on my phone, and sometimes blogs, especially when I'm just checking one thing for 20 minutes.
That happens to everyone. When you say, I usually read, that's the present simple, which we use to talk about habits and routines. For example, I usually read before bed, even if it's just 2 pages.
2 pages still count. I often read in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, and I rarely read late at night because my eyes say no more words today.
Yes, reading at night can turn into sleeping very fast. I prefer reading at night, though. It's my quiet time, when my phone is silent and my brain finally slows down.
I prefer the morning. My brain works better, and I can focus more. At night, I read the same sentence 5 times and still don't know what it means.
That's very real. Everyone has a different reading routine, and that's okay. A habit doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be comfortable.
Exactly. Some people read every day, some read only on weekends, and some read when their phone battery dies. Very powerful motivation.
That's true. And even 5 minutes of reading can be helpful. Small habits are easier to keep, and they slowly improve your English.
Now it's your turn, our dear listeners. Let's practice together. First question. Do you like reading?
You can say, yes, I like reading, although I don't read every day.
Next question. What do you usually read?
You can say, I usually read news on my phone and short articles online.
Last one. When do you usually read? In the morning or at night?
You can say, I usually read at night because it helps me relax.
Great job! Small answers like these help you speak more naturally.
And small habits, just like small practice, grow slowly but surely. Reading preferences. Tom, let's talk about preferences. Very important question. Do you prefer reading real books or digital content on your phone or tablet?
Honestly, I prefer digital content. It's always with me, it doesn't weigh anything, and my phone never says, you already own too many books.
That's true. I actually prefer paper books to ebooks. I like the feeling of turning pages, and I can focus better when my screen isn't flashing messages at me.
That makes sense. When we say, I prefer A to B, like I prefer paper books to ebooks, we're comparing two choices. It's a very useful structure when giving opinions.
Yes, and preferences are personal. There's no right or wrong answer. Some people prefer digital reading because it's convenient, while others like paper books because they help with concentration.
Speaking of that, what kind of books do you enjoy reading?
I enjoy stories and travel books. Stories help me relax, and travel books make me feel like I'm on vacation, even when I'm sitting at home doing nothing.
That's a good kind of travel. I enjoy business and self-help books, especially when I need information or motivation. I read them slowly, though, because my brain needs time to process big ideas.
Do you usually read in your free time or only when you need information?
Mostly when I need information, but sometimes I read just for fun, usually when I'm trying to avoid doing something else that's more important.
Very honest. I read mostly in my free time. Reading helps me disconnect and rest my mind.
And what about language? Do you read more in your own language or in English?
If someone asks you that, you could say something like, I read mostly in my own language, but I try to read short content in English every day. That's because regular exposure helps improve vocabulary naturally.
Exactly. Reading in English doesn't have to be difficult. Short articles, simple books, or even captions all count.
Now it's your turn. Let's practice together. First question, do you prefer paper books or digital content?
You can say, I prefer digital content because it's easy to carry.
Next question, what kind of books do you enjoy?
You can say, I enjoy stories and self-help books because they help me relax.
Last one, do you read more in your own language or in English?
You can say, I read mostly in my own language, but I try to read in English every day.
Great job! Sharing opinions like this helps you sound more confident.
And the more you practice, the more natural your English becomes, one page at a time. Reading for growth and learning. Tom, let's go a little deeper today. Why do you think reading is important, not just for English, but for life in general?
Big question. I think reading is important because it gives us knowledge and new perspectives. It's like borrowing someone else's brain for a few minutes. Much cheaper than therapy.
That's a great way to put it. Reading helps me see things differently. Sometimes one sentence can change how you think, and that's very powerful.
Do you read more to relax or more to learn?
Both, actually. Fiction helps me relax, while nonfiction helps me learn. Reading does two jobs at the same time, which is very efficient. My favorite kind of activity.
Same here. When we say reading helps me improve my vocabulary, we're talking about effects, what reading does for us over time.
Has reading ever changed your habits or the way you think?
Yes, definitely. Reading made me more patient and more curious. It also helped me build better routines because readers know how to sit still, a very rare skill these days.
That's true. Reading changed my thinking too. It taught me to slow down and reflect instead of reacting immediately.
Of course, reading regularly isn't always easy.
What do you think are the biggest challenges?
Time and distractions. Phones are loud, books are quiet, and quiet things need discipline. That's why reading is not just a hobby, it's habit building.
Well said. Building a habit means doing something even when motivation is low, especially when motivation is low.
Looking ahead, do you want to read more in the future?
Yes, I want to read more next year, and I'm trying to build a small, realistic reading habit. 10 minutes a day, not 100 pages.
Same here. I want to read more intentionally, not faster. Reading is not a race. It's a long conversation with yourself.
Now it's your turn. Let's practice together. First question. Why do you think reading is important?
You can say, I think reading is important because it helps me learn new ideas.
Next question. Does reading help you relax or learn more?
You can say, reading helps me relax and improve my English.
Last one. Do you want to read more in the future? How?
You can say, I want to read more by building a small daily habit.
Great work. Talking about growth helps you think in deeper English.
And every page you read, slowly, calmly, is progress you can feel. That brings us to the end of today's episode. Today, we talked all about reading habits, from daily routines and personal preferences to learning, growth, and future goals.
And remember, speaking well doesn't mean speaking perfectly. When you talk about familiar topics like reading in your daily life, English feels more natural and much less stressful.
Before we finish, let's quickly review some useful vocabulary we covered today, including a few slightly more advanced words. First, habit refers to something you do regularly over time. For example, reading before bed is a good habit.
We also used routine, which means the usual way you organize your day. Example, my reading routine is very simple.
Another important word is concentration, which means your ability to focus. For example, I have better concentration in the morning.
We talked about digital content, which means things you read on a screen like articles, blogs, or news online. Example, I read digital content on my phone.
We also used prefer, which helps you compare choices. For example, I prefer paper books to ebooks.
And we talked about knowledge and perspective. Knowledge is information you learn, and perspective is how you see or understand things. Example, reading helps me gain knowledge and a new perspective.
We also practiced talking about effects and intentions, like reading helps me improve my English.
Now it's your turn to practice. Try saying one or two simple sentences about your reading habits.
You can say them out loud or write them in the comments. Small practice really adds up.
For example, I want to read more English articles.
If you enjoy learning English through calm, natural conversations like this one, please like this episode and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue creating lessons for busy learners like you.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Be patient with yourself, trust your progress, and keep practicing, one real sentence at a time.
We'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time.